Abend. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday night stream of the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel, which is starting on time for a change. And to kick things off, I'd like to show you the most ridiculous chess game I have played in a very long time. Maybe even ever. Never seen anything quite like this, and the minute I finished it, I knew I had to show you. So we're going to start out with that. And here we are. Let me just... Have we got everything roughly? Good, and you can see the eval bar. That's going to be important. Okay. So, starts out fairly normally with a d4. I'm playing black, just in case you didn't notice. And, of course, the thing about d4 is, out of all the things white can play, that is the one that I actually have the most difficulty with, though I've been working on it. So, 1d4, and I respond with d6, because I've had two books I've been reading lately, and both of which say that black can more or less build an entire repertoire around playing 1d6, so that seemed as good an idea as any as a way to reply to d4. And now here's where it starts to get... Well, the absurdity is about to show up. So, okay, this very premature bishop move here. I mean, the idea is most likely to sort of be prepared to pin my knight when it goes to g6. I had another idea in mind. I decided to just kick it away straight away. And right off, white decides not to bother with going along with that. So, decided to have that. Very yummy. And here's where things start to get a bit... Okay. So, takes it with the queen. That's fine. Engine agrees that that's fine. And here's where I fuck up. And here's where... See, I just wanted to attack the queen, kick the queen back. What I did not notice was that... Hello. When the queen does this, there is no way to block. So I'm giving up castling privileges straight off, which I had not intended to do. So, okay. Buggering off. And now notice, I did not realize this. I thought I was totally losing while I was playing. But the eval bar says that it's 3.4 to my favor. But I was playing this on the assumption that I was actually at long odds to win this. So, trying to set up something so that I don't have to go too far away with the king and can maybe just get back down into some kind of artificial castling. Okay. And then... And now here's where things get even more ridiculous, because, okay, now what the engine says is that I should have just played, let me see, what was it? Yeah, just king e7, essentially sort of a delayed bong cloud. But that looked to me like there was I didn't think about the fact that my knight was there, so it was looking to me like that was walking into mate, so I decided to take my king on this magical mystery tour. The engine, of course, does not approve. And Tim Burnett here, who I've never played before, but that was a very interesting game. I wouldn't mind playing another one with him. immediately takes advantage, and now my king is really just going around the houses. Bringing the queen around. Basically the only option I had, unless I wanted to just start bringing the king right into the center and just make a real farce of it. And here's where it suddenly shifts back. Now notice, in all of this, it is either just barely in white's favor or it's even. Well, except now, because that bishop is not going long for this earth. Okay, so... Wait. Oh, well, the engine wants me to push the pawn there. I think I actually eventually came up with that idea. But I was mostly concerned with trying to get my king someplace where it would not be the only piece moving. Which is... yeah, there we go. So, of course, check, because... I mean, you've got a king right there. Why don't you just attack it constantly? But now it is 3.2 once again to my favor somehow. Which I completely did not realize. Ah, yeah, that's where... Okay. And now it's up to 8. In this ridiculous position where I have just taken my king on this magical mystery tour. Okay, now... sort of gradually managing to get into something resembling a reasonable looking position. I actually, that's cute. Essentially, I castled. After all of that, I castled before white did. Okay. Trying to set up something on the F-file. Well, I mean, Tim had given me a bishop earlier, so it just seemed like the right thing to do. Actually, no, I just fucked up. And now, all of a sudden, yeah. And here's where it goes from 2.5 in my favor to 8 in against me, because I've hung this fork here. And the reason I did this is because I didn't like the idea of letting this pawn become an advanced pass pawn. But when you actually... Here, let me show you. Okay, so f takes g6. I didn't really have to worry about that pawn. So, queen takes e6, only move apparently. Rook d7. Rook h1. Oh, wait a second. Rook h1. 8. That was h8. Okay, so this is a backdoor rook trade. Meanwhile, the pawn hasn't gone anywhere. So, essentially, the idea here is I didn't really have to worry about this pawn at all. But I also didn't have to worry about this fork, because instead, white decided to take my knight there. So given that, might as well take the queen. And notice the time here. Despite all the ridiculousness, I'm still actually 2 minutes and 49 seconds ahead. Wait a second, why is that a blunder? What was the move? Okay, D7. Ah. Okay, I was going to say, it looked fairly good to me since the threat was back ranked mate, but apparently I don't get to see back ranked mate because of D7 with check, and then there's a pawn that's going to be promoted and I'm going to be losing my queen. So, but Tim did not notice this, and I am quite grateful that he did not. And now, it is now 8 in White's favor. This is just one of many shifts. And White decides to piss it all away. But of course, so White's in serious time trouble at this point. White's got 5 seconds left. And I end up flagging him, even though actually, despite that entire mess of a game, somehow I was actually winning anyway. So yeah, that's just the most ridiculous game I've played in ages. So I thought I'd share that with you. Maybe just get a little bit of rapid going. Let me know, how's my audio? Can you hear me okay? How's the audio? Okay. So far, I have been able to set up my setup without any disturbances at all. That's very nice of Sherlock K99. Sherlock Dog 9. I suppose. The goal is to get my knight on d5 in the very near. And to open up the f file. Do this in a slightly different order. take that on Poseidon? No, actually I don't mind this. Because this is going to clog up the center completely. So look at all the squares that it is taking up. Okay. Oh, gotta move my queen if I want to continue with this. So otherwise, this pin really doesn't work because the knight can just take the queen. See about screwing up that king side a little bit. We set up a nasty little discovery, although at the moment that's not a great idea, actually. To do this, I need to have something. How's everybody doing tonight? Now we've got a nice little pass pawn and only 3 squares to go before promotion. I'm guessing we're going to see queen takes d3 in a second. Oh, really? No? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, that is not bad at all. Maybe have a look over in the world of reactions, or does anyone fancy some GeoGuessr perhaps? It's kicked my tripod. Let's see. What have we got here? I already saw that. Move. That. Do you know how PragerU began? Now there's a question. The PragerU audio story. Origin story. That might just have to... I think we might just have to have a look at that. Just realized I forgot to put out the link to this. Okay. Do you know how PragerU began? I don't, but I'm guessing it had something to do with fucking oil money and assholes.
Probably live. What's up, everyone?
Oh, this dickhead. Okay, great. People remember this guy from when he had a pedo mustache and claimed that, Muppet Babies was sexualizing Gonzo by putting them in a dress. So you can always expect some pretty high-grade shit from him.
This is Will Witt here. Will Witt, or not Will Witt Live. No, this is just us going live randomly. It's our 5 billion view anniversary. PragerU has reached 5 billion lifetime views. It's a wonderful achievement for all of us here. I've been at PragerU for about 4 years now and have seen just the numbers grow, the staff grow. I mean, we've moved offices, got more.
Look, if you've got staff growing, you need to just get some. I know you're like germ denialists over there, and you don't believe in taking health measures, hygiene or whatever. But you don't want staff growing. You get one of those fucking disinfectant wipes.
More offices. It's just been a wild ride to see that people are hungry for this type of information. People are hungry for the type of information that PragerU is putting out there. And so we have
you mean bullshit?
Of course, joining us. But Amala is
Hi,
behind.
guys.
She's doing the switching now today. She's gotten very technically advanced. And
Yeah, I feel like a wizard today.
she's doing some extra things. And we also, very special guest, who you guys, I don't know if some of you guys who are watching this have probably never seen this face before. But this is Alan Estrin, who's the executive director of PragerU. Very big deal. And he's going to...
Okay, who the hell is this guy? Let's look him up. Alan Estrin. Okay, just look at his Wikipedia. American screenwriter, producer, director, and author. What's he done? Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World, Bare Essentials, Heaven's Witness. What the hell is Heaven's Witness? I've never heard of this. Okay. Co-founded PragerU, so clearly... Oh, God. See, screenwriter for Boston Public, Touched by an Angel. Christ. Some of the worst television in my lifetime. Like, outside of reality, which is just its own fucking category. A lecturer in screenwriting. So, basically, this guy specializes in fiction. So he's in exactly the right place. He is exactly where he belongs at PragerU, where everything is fucking fiction.
Tell us today the story of PragerU. Because I think a lot of you guys, you don't know exactly how PragerU got started, our origins, and really why we do what we do.
It isn't because you get paid by oil billionaires to be racist and lie to people?
One thing that I think we'll hear all the time, I mean, at least us who go on social media all the time from the left and on Twitter, Instagram, and just hear about us being conservative propaganda and shills and grifters and all these different things.
Yes, and they are all those things, but we're going to find out they're also other things. They've got hearts.
All the different things that the left calls us. And so to hear from Alan, who is basically the start of PragerU, is inspiring in a lot of ways to show why we really do the things we do, why we make the videos we do.
So why you shill and produce conservative propaganda?
Alan, without further ado, I would love to hear your side of the story about PragerU's origin.
I'm sure you would.
Well,
you could also introduce yourself too, if I didn't do a good enough job.
No, you did a great job. there's my. I will
I did a better job of introducing this fuck.
tell you that there are many strands to the origin story. Part of the strand is my own background, which is
Oh god, he's one of those screenwriters.
as a Hollywood screenwriter. I was a Hollywood screenwriter for many years. Worked on shows that predate most of you, like Touched by an Angel and The Practice, and these are
Okay, fuck you. Because those shows don't predate me, and
shows that were big in the 90s. And I also taught screenwriting for many years at the American Film Institute. So
now I'm curious, because there was a period in The Practice, I watched that regularly when it was on. And after, like, the third season, it just went completely downhill, and every single one of the stories was just ridiculous crap. And I'm wondering whether he was on there before that or after that.
background is storytelling, narrative, and that's had a big impact on the direction of PragerU. So
I'm not surprised, of course, because his background is not, say, knowing about history or politics or any of the things PragerU like lies to people about.
I brought a certain, I don't know if I would say special set of skills, but a kind of different set of skills. So I have a teaching background,
Different to what, though?
but also a creative background.
I would say they're special.
The
Yeah,
origin
yes, that's lovely. He thinks he's telling his boss that he thinks his skills are special.
story of PragerU is it's kind of a fun story, which
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Started when two people approached me and said that they wanted to create essentially a brick and mortar university.
Okay, which you did not go on to do, or anything even remotely resembling it.
Along the lines of Hillsdale, but that would promote Dennis Prager's ideas and concepts. And
What is Hillsdale? Oh, it's a special right wing. It's a right wing college. Got it. Okay, so this is a brick and mortar university to promote the ideas of Dennis Prager. Like, okay, yes, we really need to get Dennis Prager thought out into the world as soon as he has one.
Judeo-Christian values.
So racism. And
So essentially was, let's start a new Hillsdale. And I thought it was a very intriguing idea, and I did a bunch of research on it, and I came back to them a few days later. It wasn't long, because they were offering money, so I didn't want to take too long.
well, yeah, of course they were offering money.
And I said, look, it'll really, to start a brick and mortar university takes tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. It will take 10 years to get it off the ground. You have to buy land, buy property, staff up, administration, teachers. So at the end of 10 years, maybe we could graduate 500 students. We're not going to change the world. We're not going to make a very big impact that way. And furthermore, when was the last time you can think of a university that was started from basically scratch? Probably sometime early in the 20th century. So I said it's not a practical idea, but I did, in doing this research, have something that I have to call an inspiration, which was this is around, I should set the time. This is around 2009, 2010.
It's amazing because I hadn't even heard of them until like just a couple of years ago. So, okay, they wanted to create a brick and mortar university, so obviously the person they talked to is a screenwriter.
And the internet was already a big thing, but it's not the thing that it is now. I said we could do something a little bit different. We could create potentially a new kind of educational institution on the internet.
Yes, a YouTube channel is a little bit different to a university. That's true. That is a little bit different. Very good. See, you can see why they got this guy on board, because he knows things like that. That a YouTube channel and a university, they're kind of different.
And we have then a potential of reaching not hundreds of students, not thousands of students, but potentially billions of students, because the internet is big and growing very fast.
See, now, I mean, he mentioned earlier that you don't get to see this guy very much, and I'm beginning to see why. Because he is a boring fucking maybe he's a... Well, then again, looking at his writing credits, I don't think he's necessarily a great writer either. But, yeah. Not exactly what you'd call an inspirational speaker.
But, and this was the thing that distinguished the effort, there had been at that time a lot of universities had started to put their classes online, but it was a professor essentially standing in front of a blackboard talking for an hour.
Yeah, okay, and the idea is that's different because the professor probably knew things and was talking about, facts and stuff that actually is verifiable, and you wanted to do something where it's just sort of a random asshole standing in front of the camera.
They were just filming classes. And at that point, I had already come to the conclusion that that's not how people consume the internet. It has to... They want to see things visually. It has to be very short. And there was another confluence an idea that had been percolating in my head for a while, and that was that people were constantly complaining that nobody was reading material. You would give somebody a book and nobody would read the book. And
oh, I see. So, in other words, there's so many right-wing hacks out there.
Rather than, and by the way, as a parenthetical, this is something conservatives do. It is a aspect of the conservative mindset. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing, and that is we complain a lot.
You're kidding. I never would have guessed.
We identify problems and then complain about the problems.
It's very true. Very true.
Talk about the same thing.
So,
yeah, and remember, these people agreeing with him here, they work for him.
I was really tired of hearing this complaint. Nobody's reading anything. So I said,
wait, okay, so you were tired of hearing conservatives complain about things, so you decided to create a YouTube channel for fucking conservatives to complain about shit?
Why don't we leverage the complaint into an asset? Why don't we take the best ideas of the finest minds and distill them down to their essence?
And then you realized that those people weren't going to be pitching to something you were working on.
And if we do that and we create a online learning institution around that concept, maybe we could really do something different. So we take the very best ideas from the very best people we can have and distill them.
The very best people they can have. Yeah, that does kind of narrow it down a bit.
And the 5-minute concept kind of grew out of that. How long should it be? Well, 3 minutes is not enough to develop an idea fully enough, and 6 minutes is too long. And
but of course 5 minutes for the best ideas of the greatest minds. I mean, any idea of any significance, you can just completely develop that idea in 5 minutes. I mean, this is just a true institution of learning here.
And 5 is just a wonderful, solid number that everybody kind of gets. 5 minutes. So that was it. And I went back to these guys and I said, no to the brick and mortar. Doesn't make any sense. They got that immediately. They didn't want to spend $200 million. I said, why don't you give me some seed money, and Dennis and I will make some 5-minute test courses and see
Courses.
how it plays. And
Yeah, what the hell is a 5-minute course?
that's how it all got started. And it was just like any entrepreneurial, any kind of new idea, just a shot in the dark.
Okay, but it isn't a new idea, really, though. I mean, right-wingers have been, like, using different media to spread bullshit for as long as there have been different media.
Will this work? I don't know. How are we going to find out? We have to do it.
Yeah.
So we did it, and it worked. It worked actually right out of the gate. The first video we did was called "The Middle East Problem," and we filmed it. Dennis winged it, and then we edited what he did down to was like I think 5 minutes and 50 seconds or something. And to our
which is totally. I mean, 5 minutes is enough to develop any idea. 5 minutes and 50 seconds. I mean, that's way beyond the attention spans in their target audience. They are very clearly going for people who are not really paying any attention to this shit at all.
Our great shock, it got 100,000 views.
Wow.
This was, I think,
like, how many of them real?
2010. And that was a big number. Even then, it was a big number. So I thought, wow, this could really work. And we did. We started, we made some more, and they never got to 100. The first one was the best in terms of numbers. The others did, it would do 35, 40,000. And I said to myself, hey, that's a baseball stadium. That's pretty good. A baseball stadium class, a nice size class.
I mean, is he actually buying this shit, or is he just selling it? Class. There's nothing that you could call a class that happens in 5 minutes. What I love is, like, I mean, I didn't know anything about how PragerU got started, but I sort of guessed that what happened is some money assholes got together with some propaganda assholes and said, why don't you make some bullshit for us and let's see if anyone watches it. And that's basically how PragerU began.
But it's amazing how these things work. You quickly get kind of dissatisfied. And then...
Yeah, I guess right-wingers, they love to complain.
A second revelation happened, and which was as big as the first, as big
I can't wait for this.
As the 5 minute idea. And that was because of the success of the first one. I believed, which is now my most hated cliche, I believed that if you build it, they will come, from the movie Field of Dreams. That was the big line from the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought if we just made these great videos, people would just find it. We wouldn't have to do any marketing, wouldn't have to do anything.
And we're supposed to believe that they got 100,000 views on that first one without some serious marketing.
If only the world was so.
And then I had this other insight, which was, wait a second. I am a product of Hollywood. Hollywood will spend $150 million on a movie, and they'll spend $150 million marketing the movie, promoting the movie. Why do they do that? I mean, if it's a Denzel Washington movie, Denzel Washington's fans don't know he has a new movie. You run the trailer. What more do you have to do?
Okay, so, I mean, these are really high-grade insights. You have to do marketing. I still don't completely buy that there was no marketing going on, because if some shit nobody's heard of pops up on the internet, I mean, even if you put it on a platform where people are, like YouTube or Facebook or something like that, and even if there's a fucking audience for it, that doesn't mean they're gonna see it. There had to be something. Had to be some kind of word of mouth bullshit going on. Something.
But obviously, that's not how Hollywood operates. It's not how Coca-Cola operates.
Well, yeah, Coca-Cola operates by shooting trade unionists.
You have to remind people that Coca-Cola tastes good. They spend how many hundreds of $1,000,000 a year marketing Coke? But they do. They do it every single year. So I made the determination we have to change the model. Instead of just worrying about production, we have to worry about production, just like Hollywood, production and marketing. We can't.
I can't believe so. This is just the most bland fucking insights. Like his big revelation is you didn't just have to make a thing, you had to also market it. This is his insight. This is the guy who these people who we haven't identified, interestingly, approached with money to build a brick and mortar university, despite him not having any background that would suggest that he would know anything about how to do that.
Make people watch the video, but we can make them aware that the video is out there. Then they choose, and that changed everything. So that was kind of the big component, and we went. I think in 2011 or 12, we had something like 1.2 million views for the year, and the next year we had 1.4, and then the next year it was 72 million.
And what I love about this is, of course, they keep on trying to sort of grift donations from people. So he's deliberately, I think, being very cagey about the fact that they clearly had money going into this thing, and where the money came from and how much of it. I mean, the amounts that he's talking about are not exactly pocket change, but he's trying to avoid really...
And then from 72 million, we went to 200 million, and then to 400 million, to where we are now. Now, of course, we have a lot more product than we did. In those early days, it was only
the 5-minute videos.
The 5-minute videos.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more to offer now.
Yeah, I think when I was first starting, I think that was right as we hit 1 billion views in beginning of 2017 is when I first heard about PragerU, and we were just hitting 1 billion views.
Yeah, it's been an amazing. I mean, the growth is parabolic, as they say. I mean, if you looked at a chart, it just goes, straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something what you can do when you have an idea and the backing of petro-billionaires.
But as you say, and you've been such a big part of this, Will. I mean, it's part of PragerU has, as any operation does that's succeeding, moves from one plateau to another plateau hopefully you're stepping up. And when you came on board, that was a big step up. We had this concept of having someone out there connecting directly, as it were, one-to-one to the generation of people who were watching the videos. Again, it wasn't part of the original plan.
It is wild to think about it that way, because now I think PragerU is pretty synonymous with our student program and with the videos that I do, and on really social media heavy presence. And like back then when I joined and was first starting, like even like not just at PragerU but just in conservative circles in general, like that kind of internet political commentator type of person wasn't really there.
So at some point they had the idea that they couldn't just have bland right-wing old guys, they needed to have a bland right-wing young white guy.
And it was like right when I started that those kind of things started blowing up, and it was kind of in all the different organizations too. But at PragerU, I was really the one here, and it's like PragerU, not just patting myself on the back here, but I'm saying, PragerU and everything we were doing was just continuing to rise there. We added like Fireside Chat more frequently. We added the Candace Show. Now we have Book Club and Americanos and Stories of Us, and not even just the main shows. We have all the social media content that we do, which is getting just as many views and like in so many ways as the other stuff too. It's just wild.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and it's really, really good, and to have Amala on board now is just
Can't even
another
pronounce her name right.
piece of a puzzle that just keeps getting, the puzzle gets bigger, but the pieces keep fitting in a way that's we have grown, and a lot of credit goes to Marissa Streit, who's the CEO of PragerU, of putting all these disparate parts together and making them function well. It's all very positive and very exciting. And
Okay, this is beginning to get quite boring.
leads me
actually.
back to your original question, which is why are we doing all this?
Oh, okay.
And there is a meta reason, and the meta reason is we want
Rich people pay you.
people to live the best possible life they can. That's really at the core of everything we do. What is the best way for you to live the most productive, happy life?
Emphasis on productive.
Isn't that what everybody wants for themselves and for the people they love? How do you do that?
So this bullshit is supposed to be a self-help thing?
And there are many, many components to that. I mean, part of it, we believe, is you need to appreciate the entire American experience. How did the country get founded?
What genocide, slavery, white nationalism.
What were the principles on which it was founded?
I just said.
But not only that, I mean, other issues.
But wait, you need to... So the idea is... You have to be convinced that the slavery and the genocide and the white nationalism are a good thing in order to live your best life? How does that... Where's the sequitur there?
Philosophical issues, self-improvement issues, all these kinds of things. All the content that we do is educational content. We call ourselves an educational media enterprise, but the education we're offering is a chance for you to help you lead your best possible life.
I've watched quite a bit of this bullshit at this point, and I never would have gotten, if he hadn't come out and said that was supposed to be what I was getting out of this.
And by the way, we have never wanted ever to stifle the other side of the argument.
Well, no, lie about it, yes. Like, completely misrepresented, sure. But stifle, no.
There's a good other side of the argument. A, we're open to it, and B, we're prepared to have the debate. And
really, where? I'm interested if this. I go through their back catalog to find this shit, and I don't remember ever seeing them bring a leftist on to debate them. I think they would probably...
We're prepared for you to make whatever decision you want for yourself. If you hear our arguments and you hear the other side's argument and you decide you prefer the other side's arguments, you think they're more convincing, okay. That's all we've ever asked.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, what if the other side needs, some really astronomical amount of time to explain their argument, like 7 minutes?
I make this point a lot that there's all the struggles that we've had with, and many, obviously, conservative organizations have had with YouTube and Facebook. In the years that PragerU has operated, the basic fundamental underpinnings have never changed. Our content is improved. The animation is improved.
Their animation sucks, though. I mean, their animation I mean, there's that horrible kids cartoon where the characters, as like, I wasn't paying attention to it, so I didn't notice this, but I was watching Thoughts to Slime stream highlights, and he was looking at one of them, and he pointed out they don't even make the fucking characters blink. But the stuff they use most of the time, it just looks like something out of just any, every boring ass PowerPoint.
We've added new components. In let's say 2014, there was never a thought. Why would it happen that Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or anybody would ever throttle us or censor us in any way whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, and I can believe that because back then, especially, because there was absolutely really very little public scrutiny on this. If you wanted to get banned from Facebook, what you had to do was expose racists operating on Facebook. I mean, the one time I got banned from Facebook, it was for exposing racists operating on Facebook. You were much more likely, and really still are, let's be honest, much more likely to get kicked off Facebook for objecting to Holocaust denial than for engaging in it, for example. So yeah, I don't have any trouble believing that these people had smooth sailing.
And then it all changed in 2016.
Yep.
So my point here is that PragerU didn't change. Our content didn't change.
See, and that's an interesting thing. Because I would have said that too, that 2016 was the cutoff. Because suddenly it was like, I mean, one has to say it. Having a guy who just sounds like a drunk bonehead in the back of a bus just sort of ranting racistly actually forced some of this shit to be acknowledged, and some of these social media companies at least pretended to act right, and then we had to deal with these wonderful slippery slope arguments where, leftists have been getting banned from this stuff and demonetized for donkey's years, but then like one or two neo-Nazis get banned and suddenly, it's a slippery slope.
What our content was saying didn't change. I mean, we added new elements. They changed. They started censoring us. They started making it more difficult for us to reach our audience.
And you have to kind of, well, not really, but for the purposes of this bit, you have to feel for them because, I mean, how could they ever know that promoting white supremacist propaganda would ever cause them to fall afoul of the standards of social media billionaires?
So it's not PragerU did we like veer to the right or something so that
no, you started there.
They really needed to keep an eye on. No.
Well, it's that we got more popular too, because they see us as a threat to their leftist agenda. I mean,
their leftist agenda. If the fucking social media companies had a leftist agenda, Willie, you would not have actually had a platform to begin with. The reason you had smooth sailing is because there was absolutely no accountability, no real public scrutiny into the moderation decisions of these companies. It wasn't because they had a leftist agenda. Fucking social media billionaires are not looking to expropriate capitalists because they're on the shit end of that deal.
You getting 5 billion views is a huge threat to everything that they're doing.
Right, and you're...
It's a huge threat to what? Driving traffic, driving engagement, driving ad revenue? How the hell is this a huge threat to anything?
Of course you're right, but my point here is that in 2014, when we were growing, and they were also profiting from the business that we were giving them, they they didn't raise an objection. They had
Yep.
they had no issue whatsoever with the content.
Right.
And the content, the purpose of the content has not ever changed.
You're absolutely right. So Will and I, we did a stream this morning to celebrate the 5 billion views, and we actually went back and watched a 5-minute video of Dennis from 2013.
The American
And
Trinity.
Yeah.
And we made the point that really nothing at all has changed about Dennis's messaging, the way that he talks to people, what he's trying to get people to understand.
Yeah, it's the same bullshit it's always been. Just bit of racism, bit of condescension, bit of just straight up grifterism.
And it's so interesting that the world around us has morphed so much, yet PragerU has stayed very, very consistent in their messaging.
We also remade that video.
Yeah.
We made the,
Yeah.
we made the
Yeah.
American Trinity video.
It's a great video too.
Yeah,
It is.
Oh,
It is.
God.
Watching that video, I can see why Facebook would want to stifle us. I could see why social media companies would want to stop us.
If they want to stifle you, then why am I watching you on the YouTubes?
It's actually hard for me. I mean, it's hard for me to understand. It's not hard for me to understand it on one level, and on the other level, it is, because these companies once existed. They had a glorious origin,
What the fuck was their glorious origin?
and they can do so much good,
Absolutely.
and they could allow us to do so much good.
Wait, what, you mean you're considering like changing your entire model and switching over to doing good?
One of the great things about PragerU, and one of the things that I'm most proud of, is it's entirely international. The themes that we promote
God, fuck forbid they ever properly go international.
are as relevant in Georgia, Eastern Europe, as they are in Georgia, United States. And everybody around the
Yeah, well, fun fact though, if they ever did go international, they could run into some trouble, because in a lot of countries that aren't the US or Ireland, if you want to call yourself a university or an institute or something like that, there are standards. It is not legal for any old group of grifters to call themselves a university unless it's very clear that they're being tongue-in-cheek with it, which these people, you're hearing it right here, really are not being. They actually, I mean, this guy actually thinks that these, like, 5-minute little advertisements for right-wingery are classes. Yeah. Oh, hello, Andromeda Echo. Welcome. Do I know you from any other platform on a different name by any chance? I always like to ask because most of the people who show up in my chat are people I know, but not necessarily under the name they're appearing under. Yeah, they really do. They all sound like they just, did a little bit of laudanum, a little bit of Xanax, maybe. Oh, well, hello. As in Leitrim?
The world watches our content. The only place you probably can't see PragerU content is North Korea.
Yeah, well, actually, you can. I mean, I don't know. They do have the... It's a common misconception that there's no internet there. There's very little internet, but at the major research universities, they've got it. The international student dorms in Pyongyang have it. I mean, and certainly Kim Jong-un's got access. Oh, no, Oh, okay. Yes, hello. No, I know an Elish from, who lives in Leitrim, the county in Ireland. I actually know like 5 of them, and that is also the Irish version of my name as well. So I'm fairly surrounded by people called Elish.
every other place.
I'm sure there's a few North Koreans sneaking off and
Yeah,
watching PragerU
yeah.
videos every once in a while.
You know, we do. I don't know if you know this, but we do have a.
The funny thing is, and I can say this actually with some authority, because I watch North Korean media every fucking day practically when I'm working. Their shit, PragerU's, is much more preachy, especially their kids stuff. Like, I've watched the North Korean children's programming hour a few times. Never anywhere near as preachy as this. I mean, not as this, but as the stuff that they put out for kids, which is just straight up, I mean, totally undiluted. And today we're going to make some crafts involving the flag. And then the next one, we're going to make a different craft involving the flag. How about we do one with a flag, except it's got a big blue line in the middle so that you look like a fucking white supremacist? I mean, the North Korean kid stuff actually, I mean, it's actually fairly normal.
There is a group in China that promotes our material.
Yeah.
So we
That's
have a lot of
fantastic.
viewers in China.
We have a Prager Force student.
Wait a second. So the Chinese firewall does not block PragerU? Okay, I mean, this is a serious human rights issue in China that we have not heard about. Subjecting 1 billion people to PragerU's content. What, to knock them out, I suppose, because they have this wonderfully soporific fucking laudanum delivery.
In Venezuela.
Yeah,
It's just amazing.
yeah.
I mean, the impact is just...
Oh well, yeah, because I mean, that why the fuck is that amazing? Yes, there are rich right-wing white supremacists in Venezuela. They own all of the media in Venezuela except for the stuff that's state-owned.
It's incredible.
Which is to say, they own 80% of the media. So yes, of course, some of these pricks are watching PragerU down there.
It's hard to visualize 5 billion. We were talking today with Taylor before about.
Well, ask your sugar daddy Coke and he'll show you 5 billion.
Looking up, what was it? 5 billion oranges would fill up a football stadium, something like that.
Yep.
It's not a very good measure of what we're even
1
talking
billion
about.
would fill up a
1
football
billion. Okay, so
stadium.
5.
Okay.
Billion would fill a swimming pool, a billion stadium.
Even 1 million oranges would make better content than we're watching right now.
1,000 oranges. Trying to wrap our heads around.
Right. But it's like that many views, and not technically 5 billion people, but I mean, I think it's close to 1 in 4 people in America have seen a PragerU video on Facebook at least.
Oh, citation needed. I do not believe that for a second. Well, seen as in an impression, yeah, maybe.
That's a statistic we have. But it's like that is a lot of people who we have no idea, that you can't quantify how we have impacted them.
Yeah, but
I can quantify it.
I don't know if you do this, and I'm sure you do with your own material, which is perfectly understandable. So I do it with the 5-minute videos. I always look at the YouTube comments.
Yeah, I mean, because they're probably a source of inspiration. I mean, and really, the YouTube comments, this is one place where the YouTube comments actually kind of raise the tone of the thing.
And I'm always amazed where they come from and what they say. And
I have to say I'm somewhat the opposite.
you don't look?
I look sometimes. I look if Amla's on the live, because then it's just nice things about Amla and no one says anything about me. But if it's because a lot of the hate and stuff, it's
Now I'm just gonna have to say something about him. Using I don't know, not using this account necessarily.
I don't ever really want to see that. It's just not worth it to even look at that kind of stuff. But I mean, I
Well,
look at
there
my
is a lot. There
messages
is a
and
lot
things
of hate.
Yeah.
I have found there's
You produce a lot of hate.
no place like Twitter for hate.
Oh, Twitter is the worst.
Yeah, that's, I mean, why you have such a presence on Twitter, no doubt. I mean, it's like he was saying a couple of minutes ago, you know, back in the sort of the golden age of just racist grifting on social media back in 2014, there was just no place.
That
Twitter
is
is the worst
truth.
social media platform for all of that.
It is. I'm constantly amazed how angry these people are.
Well, have you looked at the fucking content?
We can't post anything on Twitter. We post something on Twitter.
No,
and
that is so true. I mean, I've seen. I see.
Oh, yeah, because you're getting outside of your echo chamber, and normal people actually see the sort of bullshit you post and immediately tear it to
it
shreds.
every day. I glance at the Twitter feed, and I'm just. I don't know why. I'm always surprised at how nasty
I know.
it is.
I know. I don't recognize.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like you contributed in any way to that climate with your huge pile of reactionary bullshit content.
My fans on Twitter. I only recognize the people who hate me because they comment way more than the fans. So if there's a
Plus, there are more of them.
for you guys, if you follow us on Twitter and you want to show us a support, show some nice love in the comments there, so we don't have to just stare at hate all day.
Oh, okay. I love that this is clearly actually kind of demoralizing them a bit, and I think that that's a good
Help
thing.
us out for sure. Yeah, it's a terrible place.
Twitter really is, yeah.
Yeah, I know,
forefront of
I
the
mean-
battlefield when it comes to social media.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone possibly have anything but positive feelings for a YouTube channel backed by petro-billionaires that is either being racist, denying genocide, being homophobic or transphobic, or actively engaging in propaganda to make the climate change worse? I mean, why would anyone be angry
There's
with
a
them?
lot of hate on Twitter.
Well, it's all reactionary. Twitter
Then you should be fine with it.
is all reactionary, and that's whether you're on the right or the left. Everything that is posted.
You don't know
So
what
it's just
reactionary
trying to get
means.
A very visceral reaction out of people very quickly. So that's just kind of what it breeds.
So, Alan, do you have a story or a testimonial from somebody who's been affected by PragerU's that really
Oh
tugged
God. Okay, now I'm glad I stayed on this.
at the heartstrings the most, or that you hold closest to your heart?
There are a lot. I'm happy to say there are so many, but there was one a couple of years ago at the PragerU event in Santa Barbara a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
we had PragerU students speak there, and there
Students.
was a woman from Hawaii who's still very much involved in PragerU, and she told her life just completely turned around, and it meant so much to me
Wait a second. Just completely turned around how? And what does PragerU have to do with it?
because I listened to her and I just thought, wow, you can. I mean, I say this all the time. You can change people's mind in 5 minutes or less. It's possible.
Unfortunately, it actually is. If the person is perceptive and the lie is well enough constructed.
And here's why it's possible.
But what's interesting is that, this, okay, so one random, okay, we've received absolutely no specifics. Will Pedo Mustache was clearly thinking that he might actually remember something by heart. Somebody who actually said something about how PragerU improved their lives, which, I mean, and even I was willing to believe, because I've seen the kind of bullshit that's in their comments, that there's probably somebody who actually thinks this, and this guy, who I think is very clearly getting high on his own supply, apparently all he can think of is like some random woman, and maybe PragerU changed her life, she says, but he can't remember any specifics.
And this is a big thing that motivates me and makes me refuse to ever get pessimistic about the future. I believe that within every human being, there is a let's just say it's a tuning fork for truth inside your head.
Yes, and see, that's why you get all those nasty comments, because you keep hitting people's tuning forks, and it creates a god-awful fucking noise, resonates with the, and, you know, suddenly, like, the pictures are falling off their walls.
And when you hear it, it vibrates some way. And that changes everything. And
Yes, but how does this relate to watching PragerU videos?
the world that we live in now, and this is why I say what's going on with education, I find to be, I'm not even sure it's borderline criminal. It just may be flat out criminal, like behind bars criminal.
Yep.
That
Oh yeah, I know. Let's get some specifics on this. What offense, what indictable offense do you think the educational system is committing from your perspective here, Alan?
you are. This is why when I earlier said just let people hear the ideas, whether it's from PragerU or from somebody else.
What, you think people aren't hearing right-wing bullshit in this country? It's rare that people hear anything else. That right-wing bullshit has pretty much the entire political class and the entire media ecosystem completely locked up, and most of the educational system. So what idea do you think people are not hearing?
To indoctrinate means that you don't allow people to hear the full panoply of ideas.
Well, actually, that's not really what it means. I mean, this seems almost churlish to be pointing out that he's misusing a word, since he's been misusing words like university and course and class this entire time. But, no, I mean, indoctrination means obviously the objective is to inculcate someone in a particular belief system. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't show them the alternatives. Sometimes some of the most effective indoctrination does give a little bit of the alternatives from a certain angle, which is kind of the way these people work. They will occasionally kind of allow some deeply distorted version of the what they imagine their opposition believes to get through. I mean,
and that's what's happening. That's why I think PragerU has been so effective, because we're able to take these great ideas, and it doesn't take a long time for that to set off that tuning fork. And once
what great ideas
that happens, I mean, there's another story about a woman at Harvard who was home because of COVID. Obviously, they shut Harvard down, so she went home. So she was just watching random YouTube videos, and the whole summer riots thing was going on, and she was just feeling very uncomfortable. And she said, I just want to hear the other side of this. It's got to be another side, because somehow it doesn't feel right to me.
What, the other side of the proposition that racist police terror is bad?
And she looked up conservative something or other, and PragerU, this is marketing, pops up on
not that they're involved in indoctrination
her
or
search
anything.
engine, and she watches one video and then spends the rest of the weekend watching one after another, and then and the
Jesus.
next.
I already had a relatively low opinion of Harvard, to be honest. But okay, so somebody, I mean, if this is like the intellectual standard of Harvard,
By Monday, she's a different person.
It's amazing.
God, yes, she's a fucking horrible person.
But yeah, it's a testament.
What the fuck's with that hat, Will? I mean, that's just trying way too fucking hard.
To PragerU. I mean, I'm happy to take some credit for it. If it wasn't there, it wouldn't have happened. But it's a testament to the ideas. It just takes us back to this notion of how can you lead your best life? This is why
What the hell does this have to do with anything that PragerU puts out there? Let's see, I mean, I've watched a lot of their content. I have not seen anything that even begins to approach something that could be described as helping people, even from, like, some weird, fucked up right-wing perspective, helping people live their best lives. It's just lying to people about issues of the day.
I just so dislike this idea. And Jordan Peterson, I'll finish the thought about the idea I dislike is that you have two choices. You can take responsibility for your life, or you can give it to somebody else.
What, responsibility or your life? And what don't... Okay.
Yep.
You want to give you have one life and you want to give the decision-making possibilities, all the things you possibly could be, to someone else?
Well, I mean, I guess from your perspective, you kind of gotta hope that some people do, because that's what the business you're in.
That's how you lead your best life. You turn it over to essentially to the government. That you turn it.
Yeah, no, turn it over to petro-billionaires.
Over the people who know better than you know how you should live your life. It's so condescending. And it's wrong. It's wrong, and
yeah, because obviously, the people who should be running your life are the capitalist class.
This, I think, it explains the success of, in part, of PragerU, but it also explains the success of people like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
Well, I think that actually what explains the success of all of these people is that there's a huge amount of money. They're just backed by a huge pile of money that ensures that they get all kinds of placement and all kinds of help from the algorithm, and all those social media companies that they pretend to hate right now because they had to at least pretend to have some kind of standards of discourse. Give them a little bump up in the algorithm, and Google giving them such a big bump as well in the search results, as he was just saying. Yes, there's a big pile of money behind them. In fact, you could probably make just about any venture like this moderately successful by throwing a huge amount of money behind it. I am willing to provide... to be the experimental group in an experiment. If somebody just, if PragerU wants to just see what happens when just any old fucking, informative, philosophical, media outlet kind of fucking thing actually has funding. No, I wouldn't take their shit, actually. Fuck that. But for the sake of argument, I think probably if I found a huge, a briefcase full of fucking notes and could spend it on marketing, suddenly this would look like a going concern. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you put a pile of money behind anything and it will succeed.
I mean, you can boil Jordan Peterson down to two.
I mean, a venture like this, because this is just a venture that is nothing but bullshitting people. Bullshit is really easy to make a go of. You just need, you need a media outlet. You need to pay people in order to kind of dress it up all nice. And, you need a bit of marketing in order to get people to show up to see your propaganda. That's easy. I mean, it's not actually making anything of substance. Yeah, something like this, all you have to do is throw money at it.
Words, personal responsibility. Take charge of your life. That's Jocko Willink. I mean, it's all about that, and it all starts with that, by the way.
Does.
But this is why people hate them, because people don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. That's why it's such a push for us to get PragerU videos out there and those ideas out there, because your life will be better if you do that. It might feel easier in the short term to not take responsibility.
Again, I mean, what the hell is he even talking
Someone else
about?
take care.
I mean, okay, I think what's going on here is, I mean, he's in the room with his boss, and his boss has gone off on this fucking kick about how PragerU is A, educational, and B, it's self-help content. And Will wants to keep his job because, I mean, look at him. Listen to him. Who the hell is going to hire this dickhead? So he's decided he's going to riff on that because it's the one skill he has.
Whatever else it might be. But in the long term, you taking responsibility for your life and your actions makes your life better, and you become a happier and better person.
This is so important.
Even that animation isn't that hard. I mean, if you have the free version of DaVinci Resolve, which I do, it is remarkably easy, even if you don't know shit about animation, to do animation of the quality they do, which is extremely low. Like, I mean, their fucking characters don't even blink.
Will, and that's why
Clutch Cargo
you know,
had better animation.
Jocko said it better than anybody, which is this notion that discipline equals freedom. You have...
That's... Yeah, you know, Orwellian gets sort of bandied about a lot, and mostly it's bullshit. To the extent that I have this idea that I'm going to start saying something is just like in 1984, except I'm going to mean the year. But discipline equals freedom actually is very close to a paraphrase.
You have to understand that concept, that you have to bring mental and physical discipline to your life in order to be free. I mean, that...
And the way that you teach people what mental and physical discipline is by keeping your videos extremely short and avoiding any kind of content that requires any attention span at all to absorb.
That is the whole point of the Exodus story. Okay, it's in there in the Bible. They are liberated from Egypt, not just to be free, because just being free is anarchy. They're
as if that's a bad
liberated
thing,
so that they can worship God, so they can receive the Ten Commandments. And as you just pointed out, it's the discipline. It's counterintuitive, but it's the discipline that allows you to be free.
Exactly right.
And that's what we want you to know at
Wait a second, you just said that being free is anarchy, which I actually kind of agree with. But, I mean, you seem to not be entirely certain what you mean when you talk about being free, because a second ago you were saying, well, the Israelites weren't liberated from Egypt just to be free, because that would be anarchy, and now you're saying that actually they were. I mean, you've had this is the intellectual powerhouse behind PragerU.
PragerU. That's all we're doing. Every piece of content we put out is an effort to help you continue on that path, or to see that that's a better path.
The path of believing condescendingly delivered bullshit.
And it doesn't matter where you start in life. If you don't take control of your own life, what difference does it make? I mean, ultimately...
Well, I don't know, because if you start where, say, George W. Bush or Donald Trump started, and you let your life be a fucking shambles, it's a fucking shambles where you still driving a fucking Maybach. Whereas... if you were born broke and you actually get it together, you're still going to be living in a fucking disaster and constantly dodging the landlord. So yeah, where you start out kind of matters a little.
I mean, Carol Swain says this beautifully in her video, that is a few months old, that you can start out in a terrible place in your life and work your way to a beautiful place, or you can start your life in a beautiful place, in a truly privileged place, and trash it.
God, yeah, that's such a remarkable platitude. I mean, the billions of the from the Koch brothers are well spent.
You can go in both directions.
Wow,
but you have to take control. And as you suggested, it can't be easy. Nothing is going to be easy.
Well, for rich people, it looks pretty fucking easy. I not gonna lie. I mean, Donald Trump, who basically all he did was squander large amounts of money, never actually did all that much, and managed to make his businesses fail in a way where he always came out ahead and everybody else got screwed over. Yeah, I mean, it seems like you can be a complete shit show of a person if you start out in the right place, and you still end up doing pretty well.
But it can be done. It is available to you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think anybody who is well versed in my story and how I came to be a conservative knows that PragerU was a really big part of that. So I do want to.
Jesus. I mean, the only thing worse than the people who put this crap out, the only thing worse than listening to the people who put this crap out is listening to the kind of people who will actually admit to having been convinced by this crap.
You know, end our conversation and our interview with you by saying thank you for starting PragerU. I was on the left and angry and was taking no responsibility.
Now I want to look into this. I mean, because this isn't something I've heard before, but of course it is a standard bit of origin story for right-wingers to claim this.
For the things that were wrong in my life, taking no responsibility for the things that I was angry about, and I was looking for solutions, and the first person to reach out to me was actually people on the left, and they wanted to have me press blame on other people and
I thought you were on the left.
And sort of fight back and do protests and really run away from the accountability that we're supposed to accept in our lives.
You note that she's not giving any details about what these problems are in her life that the left wants her to protest about. I mean, this is just such, like, cookie-cutter crap.
And when I couldn't find answers on the left, I went online to find answers, and I found Prager University. So
Jesus.
I really do want to thank you for creating what you have created, and it is truly impactful. And like you said, you can't be pessimistic with the work that we're doing right now, because if it could have changed somebody like me who was so deep down in the abyss that is leftist ideology.
Okay, the abyss that is leftist ideology. We're actually short on time. I at the moment am living with people, and I don't want to keep them up, so I'm going to be wrapping this up after this video ends. But this is something that will bear further investigation. I want to know if she's just making this up, or if she started someplace halfway decent and then found this grift.
It can really reach anybody, and it can change anybody. So I just, again, want to thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you both for the great work that you do.
Thank you for giving me a job, Alan.
Yeah.
Look, there we go. We got him to laugh here at the end of the stream. All right, there we go.
Well, yes, the idea that he has power over these people is very funny to him.
Off.
A good place to end it.
Yeah. Guys, before we end it, though, I just do want to say for 5 billion views, we are doing a store promotion right now for PragerU. You can go to shop.prageru.com if Amalin or Taylor wants to leave that in the comments. Shop.prageru.com. You can get everything at the store for $5 off in honor of 5 billion views. I appreciate all of you guys watching. Make sure you
that is
follow
a
PragerU
really
on all our
shitty
social media
discount.
platforms. You go to prageru.com to watch in case we get silenced off social media, which is
Oh, you would, which is not going to
already
happen.
happening, but so you never miss any of our videos. Check it out on our website, and that's going to be all, guys. Thank you so much for 5 billion views and everything you guys do. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, but I will be back tomorrow night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time till 1 a.m. I do this every week, and I'm glad to see somebody new here. I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night.